They told me the night shift at a gas station would be easy, just coffee, snacks, and silence. But no one warned me about the trap door beneath the freezer, or the thing that waits at exactly 2:13 a.m. This isn't just another ghost story. This is a record, a warning, a confession. Because once you hear the hum, it's already too late. Chapter 1. The Apartment. I've lived in New York City for 6 years. Long enough to know that a great deal on an apartment usually comes with some kind of catch. Still, when I found a one-bedroom in the East Village for less than half the going rate, in a brownstone building with exposed brick, original wood floors, and a clawfoot tub, I didn't ask too many questions. The landlord was a quiet old man named Mr. Greaves. He barely spoke, just handed me the keys and told me the apartment had been empty for a while. When I asked how long, he just said, "You're the first one to last longer than a month in there." Then he chuckled. I thought he was joking. I moved in on a gray Sunday afternoon. The apartment smelled faintly of dust and something else I couldn't place, like old flowers and rust. But it was beautiful. The windows were huge, the kitchen had charm, and the silence was comforting. That first night, I slept better than I had in weeks. But the second night? That's when the noise started. It came from the bedroom wall, a soft, rhythmic tapping, almost like someone was drumming their fingers just on the other side of the plaster. I figured it was the neighbors. Old buildings like this always creak and groan. But by the fourth night, it had changed. The tapping turned into scratching, like fingernails dragging across wood. And it was moving, not just in the wall. From the wall, to the ceiling, then the floor, then under the bed. I tried to rationalize it, maybe mice, or plumbing. But when I looked under the bed that night, the floorboards were bare. Nothing. Just as I was about to climb back into bed, I heard it again, directly in my ear. A whisper, so close it felt like someone's mouth was right next to me. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. My whole body went cold. And when I turned on the lamp, nothing, no one, just the empty room. But I swear to you, it wasn't a dream. Because when I looked in the mirror the next morning, there was a handprint on my neck. Chapter 2. The Tapes. I set up my base behind the counter, if you could call it that. A dusty stool, a desk fan that didn't work, and a stack of old receipts. The clerk, whose name tag read Eddie, handed me a battered cardboard box. "Old security tapes," he muttered. "From before they upgraded the system. Don't know why we kept 'em." Then he leaned in a little closer. "Don't watch the one marked July 3rd. Just don't." Of course, that was the first one I watched. The footage was grainy, timestamp barely legible, but I could still make out the aisles, the freezers, the cash register. It was 2:12 a.m. The employee on shift, a young woman in a red hoodie, was cleaning the counter. She looked tired, bored. She yawned, turned toward the camera, then suddenly froze. Not like she heard something, more like something took over her body. Her arms dropped to her sides. Her mouth hung open. Her eyes rolled back just slightly, barely noticeable if you weren't looking for it. Then she walked. Number glided, straight toward the back of the store, past the beer coolers, toward the storage room. The lights above her flickered in a wave as she moved. And then, static. The feed cut out for 4 minutes. When it returned, the room was empty. No woman, no blood, no sign of a struggle. Just one thing different. The words, "Help me," smeared across the inside of the freezer door in something dark. I paused the tape, rewound, replayed. Same result. I leaned back and rubbed my eyes. Maybe it was a hoax, a staged disappearance. But if so, where were the bodies? Where was the motive? Eddie shuffled closer. She was the second one, he whispered. Same time, same date, just a year later. I turned to him. What do you mean, second? He nodded toward the wall behind me. There was a corkboard, dusty, yellowed with age, photos, names, faces, all employees, all dead or missing. All disappeared between 2:13 and 2:17 a.m. I counted. There were 7. July 3rd, Eddie said again. It always starts on July 3rd. He looked at the clock. It was 12:41 a.m. July 3rd. I suddenly felt cold. Not from fear, but from something else. Something wrong in the air. Like the store itself was waiting for me to see what came next. Chapter 3. The freezer. I should have left. I knew it. Every instinct screamed at me to walk out that door and never look back. But I couldn't. Curiosity is a disease, and I was already infected. I asked Eddie if the freezer in the tape was still there. He nodded slowly. Hasn't worked in years. We keep it locked. Why? Because it knocks. Sometimes. I thought he was messing with me. But when I followed him to the back, I saw the padlock on the handle, old, rusted, and scuffed. And then I saw the scratches on the floor. Deep ones, like someone or something had been dragged in and tried to crawl out. I knelt beside it, listening. At first, nothing. Then, a soft thud. Then another. Then a knock. Steady. Rhythmic. 3 slow knocks, followed by silence. But not before the creature looked straight at the camera. Straight at me. Chapter 5. Into the depths. With trembling hands, I pulled the trapdoor open. A gust of cold, damp air rushed up from the darkness below. The metal hinges creaked like they hadn't moved in decades. I aimed my flashlight down into the void and saw a narrow stairway, wooden, moldy, and steep, descending into darkness. Step by step, I descended, the door creaking shut behind me. The air down here was thick, musty, and electric. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, as if the tunnel wanted to remember every sound. The stairs led to a tunnel, just wide enough for one person. The concrete walls were etched with strange markings, symbols that looked like claw scratches, and others that seemed carved with a knife. Faint humming echoed through the corridor, and I followed it, like a moth to a flame. Eventually, I reached a rusted metal door, reinforced and locked with a sliding bolt. My heart pounded as I undid the latch. The door groaned open to reveal a room, not a basement, not a bunker. A room. Inside, it looked like a makeshift office. Old filing cabinets, a desk covered in yellowing papers, and a flickering lantern on a hook. On the walls, newspaper clippings, photos, missing person reports. Some were recent, some dated back decades. And in the middle of the room, sitting quietly, was a man. Chapter 6. Eddie. He looked up at me with hollow eyes, unshaven, skin pale and clammy, clothes tattered and old. He didn't flinch when I entered, just stared. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. I introduced myself as a private investigator. He nodded like he already knew. "You're looking into the disappearances," he murmured. "Same as me. I came here in '93, never left." His name was Eddie Monroe. He used to be a beat cop, one of the first to respond to the original reports. But when things got too strange, too unexplained, the department backed off. Eddie didn't. He showed me his files, dozens of names, Photos of gas station employees and customers who had vanished, always during the night shift, always around 2:13 a.m. He warned me not to stay. "They don't come for you right away," he said. "They wait. They watch. And once you hear the hum, it's already too late." I asked him what they were. Eddie just pointed to the ceiling and whispered, "Mirrors lie, but they remember." Chapter 7. The Freezer. That night, I stayed anyway. I couldn't leave. Not yet. I took Eddie's files and returned to the gas station. Everything felt colder now, the lights dimmer, and then, just past 2 a.m., the hum returned. Not from the trapdoor, from the walk-in freezer. I approached slowly, the humming growing louder with each step. The door was shut, but frost lined the handle. My breath misted in the air. When I opened it, the cold hit like a punch. But it wasn't the temperature that made me stumble. Inside, the shelves were empty, except for symbols etched in frost. Symbols that matched the ones in the tunnel. The air pulsed with something alive. In the far corner of the freezer, the wall shimmered slightly, like heat rising off asphalt. I stepped closer, and the hum intensified. I reached out to touch it, and the wall blinked, only for a second. But in that instant, I saw a reflection. Not mine. A face, grinning, pale, eyes hollow. And then it was gone. I slammed the door shut and backed away. I had found the entrance, but I had no idea what I was entering. Chapter 8. The hour comes. I couldn't leave. I tried. Got in my car, made it to the highway, but every turn looped me back to the gas station. No matter how far I drove, I'd look up and see that same flickering neon sign. I was trapped. So I waited. That night, I sat in the aisle between the beer cooler and the snack display, watching the clock tick toward 2:13. My hands gripped a crowbar. My heart pounded so loud I almost didn't hear it coming. First, silence. Then, the hum. The air grew still. The lights buzzed and dimmed. The temperature dropped like a plunge into deep water. The freezer door eased open, and the creature stepped out. But this time, I stood my ground. "You're not taking me," I said. It tilted its head, then moved. So fast I barely saw it. It was in front of me, hand outstretched, cold fingers touching my temple. And I was falling into the mirror. Not toward it. Through it. Chapter 9. The Mirror World. I woke in a room identical to the gas station, but darker, colder, warped like a dream. Shelves bent at odd angles. The air reeked of ozone and decay. And the walls. They pulsed, as if the building itself were alive. Outside, the world was wrong. The sky was purple-black, and the stars moved like insects. I wasn't alone. Other figures moved in the shadows. Some walked like people. Some crawled. Some just floated, whispering in voices that weren't human. I ran. And everywhere I turned, I saw myself. Hundreds of versions, each one twisted in some way, missing eyes, flayed skin, laughing without sound. Then I found the real mirror, the one connecting this place to the world above. I watched as it, the creature wearing my body, went back to work, greeting customers, stocking shelves, living my life. And I screamed, but no one heard me. Chapter 10. Echoes of the Forgotten. Trapped in that twisted mirror world, I searched for a way out. The gas station's layout mirrored the real one, but distorted. Aisles stretched into endless hallways. Lights buzzed with whispers instead of electricity, and time had no meaning. I stumbled upon a room I'd never seen before in the real world. At the center stood a shrine, made of old employee name tags, stacked bones, and a blackened cash register. The walls were covered in Polaroids, faces of all the missing workers, each frozen in terror. Mine was now among them. That's when I heard the laughter, a low, wet chuckle echoing from every direction. And then came the voice, "You see now. You are part of me." The mirror wasn't just a doorway. It was a memory trap. Every soul taken, every person fed to the thing, became another echo in this purgatory. But I wasn't ready to fade. I began destroying the shrine. One tag, one bone, one relic at a time, and the walls screamed. Chapter 11. Fractures. The world shook. Cracks ran across the floor like veins. Something ancient shrieked beneath my feet. Suddenly the mirror rippled. It was weakening, but something was coming for me. Dozens of my doppelgangers emerged from the shadows, shuffling forward with glassy eyes and stitched mouths. They grabbed at me, moaning soundless agony. Their touch was ice. Their eyes begged for freedom. I fought them off with a broken piece of shelf wood, retreating toward the mirror. It shimmered now, reflecting not the gas station, but the real world. I saw Eddie pacing, muttering, holding a shotgun. I had one chance. I hurled the shard of shelf at the mirror. It cracked. And then it opened. Chapter 12. Reversal. I crawled through the shattering glass, emerging back into the real world with a howl stuck in my throat. Eddie screamed, leveling the shotgun at me, then hesitated. "You're real," he whispered. I was, bleeding, broken, but real. The creature was gone, for now, but I could still feel its gaze from beyond. The mirror, now only shards, pulsed with heat like cooling embers. "I need to burn it," I said. Eddie nodded. "We'll burn it all." We torched the freezer, the trapdoor, the files. Flames danced like spirits finally set free. Epilogue, July 13th, 2:13. A.M. a year later, I returned. The gas station was gone, replaced by a new chain mart. Bright, clean, lifeless. But I still avoid mirrors, especially around 2:13 a.m. Sometimes in motel rooms or roadside diners, I'll catch a glimpse of a reflection that doesn't quite match. And I wonder, did I escape? Or did it let me go? Because I'm part of it now? Either way, I never sleep through the night. Because that hum? It's never truly gone. If you ever find yourself working the night shift, and the freezer hums a little too loud, get out. Don't look back. And whatever you do, don't check the mirrors. Thank you for listening to my story. If you made it this far, you're stronger than most. But be careful, because now it knows your name too. Pause. Soft hum fades in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. What would you do at 2:13 a.m.?